Hello and welcome. My name's Nellie and I am in a relationship with an autistic man, also known as ASD man, and we've been together for 8 years. I believe I am neurotypical, although that doesn't mean that I'm normal. I have suspected that I may fall somewhere on the spectrum. I have no one to tell me that, and I've no reason to feel like I need a diagnosis. I wanted to start up a YouTube channel to hopefully connect with other people in a similar situation to myself. Myself and my partner don't have children, and I find that a lot of the advice and support out there isn't aimed at people like me. It's usually aimed at people trying to make relationships with children, with partners on the autistic spectrum, and also where the children are diagnosed. I find most of the help out there is aimed at those kinds of people. And I also find that there's quite a lot of codependency in NT autistic relationships, and quite a lot of the advice out there is about understanding the person who's on the spectrum or with a diagnosis, and not about how the neurotypical person can be helped. It's more about understanding the situation, which I do now. So I wanted to really connect with people in the same situation as myself and discuss a few observations I've made in the last few years and a few dots that I've connected to start a wider discussion about what happens to NT partners and what we can do to help ourselves and make our relationships work. So I've been with my guy for 8 years now, and he got diagnosed just over a year ago, so summer of 2017. And for most of that last year, we've been living apart, although we've still been together. We've found that this works better for us, and we are lucky enough that we can afford to do this. So it's an unconventional yet much happier situation for both of us. Now, in the lead up to him getting diagnosed, I'd been living with him for 4 years, and during that time, it was glaringly obvious to me that something wasn't normal about this relationship and this living situation. And we didn't get along very well living together. Well, we did, but it was very rocky, and more rocky than relationships I've been in before. And things kind of reached a bit of a fever pitch, and I just tried kind of doing research to figure out what was going on with him. And first of all, I thought that he might be a sociopath or a narcissist, and I started researching narcissistic abuse, and I went quite far down the rabbit hole with that. And he didn't seem like a narcissist. However, I seemed like a victim of narcissistic abuse. So a friend of mine whose partner had, in his 50s, been diagnosed with Asperger's, said to me, "It sounds like your partner is on the spectrum. I think you should think you should get him diagnosed. And it took me a long time to persuade my partner to actually do that. But what it made me realise is the elements of my partner's type of autism have resulted in me suffering from the effects of narcissistic abuse, which are known as, get ready for it, CPTSD, which stands for Complex Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder. That's a bit of a mouthful, and it's quite a lot to take in. Now, you've probably all heard of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, which is suffered by a classic example is somebody that's in a disaster, like a bombing, a terrorist attack, and the effects of this will be from one distinct tragic or traumatic, that's the word I'm looking for, not tragic, traumatic event, and they can manifest themselves in isolation, depression. Flashbacks are a notable effect of PTSD. Now, the difference between that and CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, is that in CPTSD, the victim suffers lots and lots of little traumas that add up and manifest themselves in a myriad of ways. And that appeared to be what I was suffering from. I reached this conclusion with the help of an online coach called Richard Grannon. He has loads of YouTube videos available, and I must have spent a good 6 months just continually listening to his videos on loop, and they were offering a solution, you know. Okay, we've identified what's wrong with you, now what are we going to do about it? And I ended up purchasing one of his online courses, and I'm still working through that now. It's an ongoing process for me. But I wondered if any of my fellow NT girlfriends out there had stumbled across this, and did anyone want to start a conversation about it? I know that Richard Grannon doesn't have much to do with autism, and a couple of people have flagged up to him that Asperger's looks like narcissism, like narcissistic personality disorder, also known as NPD. And he has been quick and correct to point out that narcissism and so NPD and autism spectrum disorder are not the same. However, the NT partners seem to be suffering from the symptoms of the same thing that the victims of narcissistic abuse are suffering from. So, you know, that's some pretty good stuff to work with there. Anyway, I've probably swamped you with too much information and too many terms to start with. It took me quite a while to grasp the concept and work through what I can do about it. But anyway, it's been good talking to you. I'm going to try and check in with short-ish videos on a regular basis, and I would love to hear what some people have to say about this. Looking forward to seeing some comments. Thank you.